Ba-bum.
Okay.
Bum, bum.
You're watching Fanboy Versus with your hosts, JD Church, Chris McFeely, and Chris Triplett.
And you are listening to Fanboy Versus. I am your host, JD, joined by Chris Triplett, Chris McFeely, and Nicole. Welcome.
What's up?
Yo.
Hey.
So,
What's up?
it is
What's up, Americans?
Fanboy Versus the Book of the Skull as we take on Fear itself this week, or at least the prologue thereof. Yeah, so, sorry about last week. That's all I got to say about that. So, anyway, we're going to talk comics. We're not really going to catch up on last week. We'll, like I said, sparring editions are kind of what that's for. So we may see videos for that. Check that out. But we do have news because C2E2 happened. So there's going to be some bits of news. And so, of course, we go to McFeely. What do you got, sir?
The news. It's all over the place. There's nothing too huge seems to have emerged from C2E2 at all. We've had a couple of little announcements here and there. I suppose probably the most notable ones are that we've had the creative teams announced for, well, it wasn't at C2E2, but it was since we last had a show. The creative team announced for the new Daredevil series coming up. The new Punisher series coming up, and at C2E2, the creative team for the new Daredevil book. Now, these are two books that are being launched alongside the new Moon Knight series. I don't think they have a collective name for these three books, but it's about relaunching these urban heroes who haven't had much success. Well, I don't know really why they're bothering with Daredevil. I thought he was doing all right, but Punisher and Moon Knight have been struggling the last couple of years. So they're relaunching Moon Knight, we talked previously, was being done by Bendis, and it's been announced that Punisher is being written by Greg Rucka, and Daredevil is being done by Mark Waid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, holy crap, you might bother reading Punisher or Daredevil now.
Oh my god. I wonder how long that's going to last, like 6 issues or something?
That is the question, isn't it? Because if they don't stay on, the books are just going to go the same route they did before. You know, Charlie Huston's Moon Knight started strong, everybody liked it, and then it went to pot when he left. And, well, Punisher never had that much success, to be honest. But let me just see who the artists are in these. I'm playing catch-up because I forgot that you Americans changed your clocks this week.
Yeah, we kind of do that.
Yeah. Paulo Rivera is the artist on Daredevil. And, pardon me, I'm not familiar with
tipping back
Marco.
the whiskey bottle.
Marco Cicchetto. Marco Cicchetto is doing art on the Punisher. I'm not sure of who he may be. And other than that, there doesn't seem to have been a particularly huge amount of major announcements out of C2E2. We've heard that Booster Gold will be the only mainstream ongoing DC Flash book affected by the event. It'll otherwise be completely consigned to tie-ins. So that certainly seems to put to rest the theory that we were throwing around early on, that there's just some kind of Age of Apocalypse style books subverted by tie-ins. What else did we learn? We learned that...
Flash is ending at number 12. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I'm not 100% convinced about that now, to be honest.
It's probably like what one of those Age of Apocalypse type ends, and then waits a while, and then 13 comes back or something.
Well, on the basis that they've already solicited 13.
Yeah,
but that's
what
not
the hell?
that wouldn't be the first time they've done that with the Flash, because when they killed Bart Allen, they kept it a secret by actively soliciting issues that didn't exist for 2 more months before it happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I haven't heard anything else particularly major out of it. Marvel say David Liss and Patrick Zurcher to launch a new series from Marvel called Mystery Men, set in the 1930s. Seems interesting enough. Greg Pak will be bringing his Incredible Hulk run to an end very soon. That's pretty big. He's been on that book since Planet Hulk, so that's been going a good long time.
Maybe I can jump back on Hulk again and not feel lost.
Rob Williams is going to be launching an Iron Man Iron Age miniseries in which an old Iron Man foe will take on the power of Dark Phoenix.
What?
That's a curious one. Kyle Higgins to do a 4-issue Supreme Power miniseries. Presumably one would hope to pick up from or wrap up where Straczynski left it hanging when he had another of his patented fits a couple of years ago.
No.
That's all we need is another book that says, written by Straczynski, plotted by some other guy or something.
Something that I've seen repeatedly stated is that there are still no plans for Runaways, which just appalls me. Oh, you guys never read Runaways, but that book was just left hanging. So
I read some of it. I read the first couple of issues. It seemed good. I didn't pick up the rest of them.
Well, I only got into it after the fact with the digests.
What about the lizard thing? The actor from the new Spider-Man movie let it slip that it is actually the lizard that's going to.
Yes, he said he's playing a construction worker who gets caught up in a fight between Spidey and the lizard. So we've had that as well. Yeah. It's all very bitty news, little bits and pieces here and there that we don't know much about, that we can't comment on too seriously. I suppose then the one piece of news we have had this week that we can comment on properly is that we've seen the Wonder Woman costume from the TV series. It's been very off again, on again, but here's the costume revealed this week. What do we think?
She's got pants.
Woo, pants!
I should have made a bet with you guys.
I don't know. I like kind of the pants look.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a hybrid style. I mean, you have
it's about halfway between old and current.
Yeah, and so I think that's I like it.
I'm just happy it's not the new costume.
I know, being a girl, I know she'll be more comfortable wearing that outfit than her swimsuit.
I mean, all I could say really is that it would be nice if red boots. Red boots are all I could really say that. I mean, I've seen people argue that it looks very brightly colored and it looks very plasticky and whatever. But this is clearly a promotional shot under studio lighting. And to be honest, like looking at it, it really looks like large portions of the costume, if not all of it, are photoshopped onto her. Doesn't even really look like it's all for reals. So it definitely one that I have to wait and see in motion before. But I still wish it had red boots.
Yeah,
I've
agree.
seen some really silly things about people trying to fix the costume by just making it a bit darker. But if I see one more of those stupid Photoshop pieces of artwork of her done up like Xena with a big leather armor style thing in blue and red, I'm gonna punch somebody because those look stupid. They don't look like Wonder Woman. Get over yourself.
No.
I just hope she can.
Maybe they're just campaigning for a new Xena. How's that?
I just hope that she can throw her tiara like Cap's shield and it comes back to her.
Yeah. No. And the only bit of news that I'll toss in is Christopher Hastings is going to be doing 3 issues of the tie-in Deadpool for Fear Itself. Yeah.
Okay.
Who's Christopher Hastings?
Oh, yeah. He's the guy that wrote and drew and created Dr. McNinja. Come on, Dr. McNinja.
I haven't read Dr. McNinja, but this still is a reason to celebrate either way, I think, with talented people getting to do more stuff. I mean, I have to say, it's like what we were saying last time. We talked, last show we talked about all the other Flashpoint tie-ins that were announced, didn't we? Because they finished announcing them all. Yeah. And I can't remember if we ran them all off or not, but ultimately, I don't care.
Yeah.
There is genuinely, aside maybe from Citizen Cold, because it's been done by Scott Collins, there is not one that has my attention in any serious way beyond maybe the kitschy nature of the title. But conversely, with Flashpoint, I'm buying. I must be about 3/4 of the tie-ins that they've announced so far. She-Hulk, Man-Thing, Howard the Duck miniseries. Yes, I'll have that. Might get this Deadpool one. Good creative team on it. Christos Gage and Peter Millican doing an anthology book with Speedball and the Agents of Atlas. Sign me the fuck up. What's the other one? There's another one. Youth in Revolt. Sean McKeever doing the Avengers, the Initiative characters, and the Young Allies. Bring it the fuck on! These sound great. I am totally on board for these books. And yet Flashpoint is like Lois Lane and the Resistance. Oh yeah, I'll buy that. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh.
One of these things is fun, and one of these things sounds not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you explain which ones you like or not? I can understand which ones you like.
No, but yeah. So exactly. But no, if you've not read Dr. McNinja, you should. I mean, come on. He fought like Velociraptor riding banditos and giant lumberjacks and stuff. I mean, come on.
He's teamed up with Axe Cop at least once.
He's a doctor and
really?
he's a ninja. Okay, so he can cut you up and then like sew you back up. It's great. Anyway.
Is that the tagline? Have they used that?
No, I don't think so. But
That
I mean,
would
come
make
on.
a good t-shirt, by
They
the
should
way.
pay you for that.
He fought an evil Ronald McDonald. Come on.
You mean he fought the real Ronald McDonald?
Exactly. So, anyway, yeah, it's good stuff. Read Dr. McNinja. I mean, to be honest, I haven't read it in a couple of years, but when I was reading it, it was like I could not wait for the next page to come out because it was like a page a week or so, and it was just like the highlight of my week at the time. It's good stuff. So
I'll tell you something else I just remembered as well.
Oh.
I think this would have been on the last show if we talked about it, but Julie Taymor, the producer of the Spider-Man musical, has been given her walk-in papers.
Yep.
She got
Sent
out.
home.
Yeah,
the fuck
she
out.
managed
I'm
to
not
get
surprised
out
at that.
without suffering any broken limbs.
Yeah, she's probably like,
After they
thank you.
escorted her off.
Well, they've actually put it on hold until May now.
Yeah, it's been put.
Bono has stepped in and said we're going to revamp this, and it's not going to be premiering until re-premiering.
It's
May.
like we are watching the producers happen. It's amazing.
Maybe that's the actual show. Maybe it's an experimental thing.
Is it crazy that I would like to go see this just to see
Oh God, no, I would
the mistakes
totally.
happen?
Yes, I want.
I'm not going unless
I
I got
wouldn't even go
body
because I
armor.
don't need mistakes. I just go because it's got swarm in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go to the show unless you can guarantee me someone's gonna be stuck on.
Now
on their
I
tandem.
know why people like NASCAR.
Make
But-
sure you're wearing a football helmet or something.
Yeah,
'cause
really.
You're gonna need it.
is it like Gallagher? Do you get like a Visqueen like to
You
stretch
big
across?
plastic smock. The people in the first two rows will get wet.
So when that head hits the stage, it's like a watermelon. It just. Woof.
Have you ever
Okay.
seen the comedy stylings of Doctor Doom?
No.
Because it's basically, I have to look it up on YouTube. It's basically a guy in Doctor Doom regalia doing a Gallagher act.
Oh my god.
I know what I'm doing after the show.
Oh,
He's got a replica of Beta Ray Bill's hammer and he smashes watermelons with it.
that is amazing.
God,
Yes, I'm for that.
that should be a play.
Well, you know what else I'm for? Reviews, because
I think so.
that's what we do here. So, per usual, we will go to triple. Yeah, let's go to triple.
Yeah, I've got a name.
Yeah. I hesitated. I was like, do I really? Yes, I do.
You could say that guy.
Yeah.
Well, he kind
So-
of screwed it up last time because he wasn't here.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
I'm sorry. I suck. That was probably the best show you guys ever had, right?
Yeah.
Just saying.
So.
So what am I reviewing? I'm reviewing Venom, which came
Yeah,
out
talk
last
to us
week.
about Venom.
Book came out last week, I think.
It did.
And Amazing Spider-Man. So let's talk about some Venom. Did anybody else read Venom? I know JD did.
Yeah.
And
I drank it in.
you
were talking about it before the show, JD. So you didn't care for it too much, right?
Well, put it this way. And this is what I said like before the show too. Which was that basically the tie-in was great. Like I really loved the tie-in, and
Yeah.
the point one was really good, and this is good. So it's sort of, for me, it's waning as far as my both interest and as far as what's happening and my interest in it. So, and it's kind of odd because this is the first issue, and it's like,
Yeah.
at the first issue, I'm not, it's like now this is the first real issue, and I'm like, I'm not really that excited about it, huh?
Well, I'll tell you, if I felt anything of it, I thought you were going to say this, but then you didn't. It's just that this is basically that .1 issue again.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing anything new in this that we haven't already been introduced to. I mean, which is technically not wrong. I mean, it's the first issue of its own series. It should reintroduce all these concepts, but then what was the point of the .1 issue?
Well, and not only, and maybe that's it too, because it's kind of like this is the third time that I'm seeing basically the
Flash Thompson's Venom origin be spelled out for you.
Yeah.
So the second time he's gone on a mission, and hey, look at that. The second mission he ever goes on, he freaks and Venom's out again as well.
But you know what we didn't have in those other two issues? We didn't have Jack-o'-lantern.
That is true. You know, that does make all things better.
Jack-o'-lantern is so badass. I just love this design for him. Now, I've not been keeping up with the character in years outside of like Spider-Man comics, so I have no idea which version of him this is. I don't know if this is a brand new version or if he's like a version. I believe this to be
at least the fourth Jack-o'-lantern.
But I really like Jack-o'-lantern on like some sort of a rocket, broomstick. That's just awesome, And yeah, basically, just to get into it, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because I liked it, but like JD said, it's pretty much just the same stuff over again, from the .1 issue and sort of the backup. We're just, we're getting that, hey, Flash Thompson is the new Venom, and he goes in and he does secret mission stuff, Black Ops stuff, and he has to be careful because the Venom symbiote might take over him and turn him evil or something. I don't know. But in this issue, he goes into it's kind of like a Eastern European town or something, and he's trying to
generic brown person town.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And he's trying to recover a scientist that the government needs because didn't he was doing something with vibranium or something? He was making a weapon or something.
Yeah, he made some sort of like vibranium offshoot bullets that can cut through any metal.
Yeah, something like that. And Venom has to go in and recover this guy. But Jack-o'-lantern is also there working for another party also to recover the guy. And while he's there, he is causing chaos and murdering people left and right. At the beginning of the issue, it actually was kind of cool because these soldiers drop in, and they're all wearing like Iron Man type armor. And it makes it look like all right, they're there, they're gonna save these people and all this stuff, and they're like, yeah, we're the good guys, and we got all this Stark tech, and we're good. And then like this Iron Man dude gets a hole blown through his head. Oh my God, this comic is violent.
Yeah,
you could expect nothing less from a Venom comic.
I mean, I just was kind of thinking that was Venom ever like a Venom never did like a mature title, did it? I mean, it was always it was before Marvel's Max line, and this isn't a Max comic, but still, I don't know. It seems pretty violent, just guys getting their heads blown off and stuff.
Parts of their face blown off.
Or parts of their face blown off.
Why didn't I pick this up? This sounds like
yeah.
And so basically, it's just him trying to get this scientist. Being Flash Thompson, who's a good guy, he also tries to help some of the people there. He tries to help a lady and her kid, which isn't part of the mission, of course, and he gets reminded of it. He has a big fight with Jack-o'-lantern, and he winds up putting a grenade in Jack-o'-lantern's helmet and blowing his head up so that his jaw is like broken and hanging down. It's so, like I said, it's violent and graphic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty hardcore.
But
this is Tony Moore is the artist on this, and he was the artist on the first story arc of The Walking Dead. So.
Yeah, and I was kind of getting into before the show with JD about like how maybe he was kind of being put off by the comic was because of the guy that's doing the art. It seems like his art maybe isn't suited for superhero stuff, because Walking Dead when he did it was it was zombies, but it was still people. It was basically a story about people and not like superhero characters. I like his art. I think it worked for the comic. It was a little bit different though, because having a different artist for the .1 story, it's kind of hard to get used to it. But I guess maybe after a couple of issues, I'll I'll be okay with it. But
Well, I remember saying something similar back when we were looking at it, because it's like, Humberto Ramos is a pretty distinctive style unto himself, It didn't surprise me that you get that feeling off it. They're two pretty stylized, but two very different types of stylized artists.
I don't know. I think just some of the dialogue for me was just a little, I don't know.
Well, it was basically just a big fight issue. I mean, that's all it pretty much was.
Yeah, but there's still
And
I think, and it probably is again that we're reiterating the who has control, and we had our hand on the button and blah blah blah, and it's just like, okay, yes, we get it.
How often is that going to happen?
Yeah. Is it going to be for the whole run? Because really,
you're out 2 missions now at this point. You've only got another 18, or is it?
It's
8?
12, so 10,
whatever.
I guess. I think.
But I did kind of like, and it's we of course we got a more he's Spider-Man type of a arc, because he comes back to see Betty, and he missed like a date with Betty or something, and it's like, oh, he's Peter Parker, without legs or something. I don't know.
He always wanted to be Spider-Man, but now you get all the awesome with all the crap.
Taking the good with
the
bad.
I mean, he even have like the last page, and I kind of liked it, where he's like talking about his dad, and he says, "Oh, my old man was a drinker too. Gave me a concussion with Mickey's Big Mouth on my 11th birthday. He used to say, where God wants you, He'll make a way." And so he's like, wheeling himself down the street, and there's a bar with a wheelchair ramp. It says, "Wheelchair ramp to a pint." And he keeps going, and then he sees Alcoholics Anonymous meeting at a church. And he says, "Where God wants you, He'll make a way." And there's just steps there. And he says, "I bet the old bastard thinks those stairs are pretty damned funny." But yeah, there you go.
And you get the Venom shadow logo and the.
Because they've got to do that, because like we were saying, he's Spider-Man, just like we get that Spider-Man shadow every once in a while. I liked it. I mean, maybe it's not as good as the Point One story, but I thought it was pretty good. And as long as they don't go full Venom with it, like he doesn't just become like, oh,
Every
he's
issue.
or something. Like they do something interesting with it. Like I love the idea of him going on missions. If we can just get like a bunch of stories with him just going on these weird missions and just stuff happens, that'll be good. If it's like the same thing every issue where he just goes full Venom and he actually then becomes like Venom from 1990s comics, I will drop the book. I will drop it faster than you can say no dice. But
No dice.
Oh, I already dropped it.
Oh well, there you go.
Yeah. But no, I liked it. I'll pick up the next issue.
A sentiment I heard expressed towards it, which I think summed up what I thought about it pretty well, was that it's a book that is better in concept than, at least as far as this issue goes, than it is in execution.
Well, didn't we kind of say that? Because I mean, this is not the first time that Venom has been like a special agent, right?
Yeah, well, it was
Yeah,
quite
but
a
that
while
was
ago.
Thunderbolts, wasn't it?
And
No, I was thinking of Larry Hamill's Venom back in 98. He was a secret agent.
I quit reading it. I have no idea what was going on back then.
So, but that's kind of, and that's where I come, and say, it's not like this is a completely new concept, and if it didn't go that
But it's Flash Thompson's what interests me.
Yeah, that's the hook of it. Like,
It's Flash Thompson. Like I was saying before, he always wanted to be Spider-Man, and now he gets to be Spider-Man, and he sees what that's like. It sucks.
Yeah,
but this is Rick Remender writing this as well, and he's the man who gave us Frankencastle. So, I think we'll see some playing around with the status quo in pretty short order. I don't think we'll just get him going on missions. Like maybe that's the first year of the book. We'll see.
Yeah, that's the book. And also read The Amazing Spider-Man. Ooh, look at that! A new action figure!
Yay! Bulletproof Spider-Man.
New DLC for MVC3 or something.
Oh God! Hey, did you notice that the stealth suits in Marvel vs. Capcom 3?
I did. Holy crap! Like that was like 3 weeks before the game came out.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I guess.
But we digress.
Yeah. So, who else read Amazing Spider-Man? Anybody else?
Yeah.
I read it.
Nope.
What you think?
Top quality.
Yeah.
This is why I read comics.
Yeah.
If I could just get like it's like this is a book I would never dream of raising an issue of paying $4 for.
No.
32 pages of Marcos Martin artwork in one story. Yes.
It's beautiful.
God, yes. I mean, I don't even complain whenever you get one main strip and then a backup strip, but you're 32 pages of lovely Marcos Martin. And this is a full proper story. It's not like last issue where, not that I'm diminishing at all last issue, but it was, silent and then crazy ending. It seemed like it was pretty unique, sort of a special issue. But this one is like, nope, there's another 32 pages of top quality Marcos Martin artwork for you. Oh, yes, I'll take it and I'll pay for it, please.
Yes. And great story as well.
Yes, there's also that.
Yeah, I mean, good stuff. And like we were saying, basically it picks up right where the last issue ended, where we had this new villain, I guess we can call him that, Massacre, is that what they're calling him? And he has these people hostage, and he's already shot one of them, and he's threatening them, and we've got the Spidey basically saying, on my watch nobody ever dies, and then it says boom, which I guess is people just died.
Yeah, but he wasn't there yet. It doesn't count.
But the interesting thing is we a couple issues back, when Marla Jameson died, Spidey lost his Spidey sense. I think we were talking about, well, is it just gone, just for right now? Did it just get overloaded, or is it gone for good? Well, he still doesn't have it. It looks like for the time being, it's gone, and that plays big into the story too, because we find out that when Spidey swings in to kind of help the cops with Massacre, that we're finding out ways that his Spidey sense was helping him even more than I guess we even thought before. Like even to the point where his Spidey sense was kind of directing his arm as to where he shoots his webbing, so that the webbing can support his weight when he's swinging in. Because at the beginning of the issue, he shoots webbing on some weak concrete or something, and he just cracks and he falls onto a police car. And the cops are just kind of freaking out because they've never seen Spidey fall when he's swinging like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting because it's like the comics that we make fun of, the foil, with the holograms on the front, in the backups for those, there was a Peter Parker stories and concepts for his powers, and it's all. Then there was one of those that went through all the stuff his spider sense does, and it really is almost like. He went through and just sort of said, okay, well, that's not going to work anymore, and that's not going to work anymore, and that's not going to work anymore, and just kind of, and that's exactly all the stuff that you see. I mean, his spider sense directs him around bullets. It keeps him out of danger in ways that he doesn't even realize.
Yeah, it's become second nature to him at this point. The way he moves.
Yeah, we always knew that he used it to dodge things, but I mean, I'd never even really kind of thought that he would use it to direct his hand on shooting his web, and I thought that was kind of an.
And that's what I mean. If you pull out, like I said, if you have them, pull out your old hologram cover Spider-Man issues, because there's one in there that goes all through his spider sense, and there's one deal where he's reading a book and walking around a room. Because his spider sense will navigate him through the room, keep him from running into things while he's doing something else.
Yeah.
And so, that's why I'm saying it's he's a genius. Because it's just he's pulled, he's managed to really think about all of the ways that Spider-Man's spider sense works.
I mean, it's not the first time Spidey's ever lost his spider sense, but I definitely think this is the story where they're really, for the first time, exploring the extent of the ramifications for how it works, what a loss will do. He gets shot, for God's sake!
Yeah, he gets shot. Oh my God.
Which never happens.
And of course, the cops are freaking out about that.
Yeah.
You just have to wonder. You just have to wonder by the end of it. It was how the hell is he going to function?
Yeah, and we find out how.
Yeah,
well, I can't imagine he's going to have it lost forever, but, armored suit notwithstanding, dude, seriously, how the hell are you going to function?
Oh, and awesome, we get to see the night nurse. That's awesome.
Yeah.
He visits the night nurse, and she thinks, oh, okay, so this is a pro bono case. Oh, no, I'm paying my way now. I've got some money now.
I just love this because Marcos Martin actually drew one of the only appearances of the Night Nurse in the last, 10 years in Brian K. Vaughan's Doctor Strange miniseries.
Yeah, that was a great comic. I need to pull that out and read it again.
That is so good.
And he's
Doctor
visiting.
Strange: The Oath, folks. Go get the trade paperback. Damn good comic.
Very good. And he's as he's visiting the Night Nurse, because just to kind of dial it back a little bit, the massacre guy, the cops let him go because Spidey shoots a spider tracer on him, and he basically tells the cops, "Hey, let him go. I've got a tracer on him. I'll catch him later." And then he doesn't even think, "Oh God, my spider sense works with the tracers. I can't find him now. What the hell?" He's like, "I'm an idiot. I didn't even think. Everything was going on so quick." So he goes to visit the Night Nurse to get him patched up since he got shot. Paladin, oh my God, is sitting in the Night Nurse office. That's a character from the past. Hadn't seen him in a while. And he's giving Spidey crap about screwing up. And Spidey's just like, "Shut up!" and throws him against a wall.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Shut up, Paladin.
I mean, you're Paladin.
You shut up.
What do you ever do?
Paladin is a dick, though. That's his thing.
Well, Paladin. Yeah. Okay.
And we also get this great scene with Jameson. He's still dealing with the death of his wife, and he's got to basically go on the news and do a press conference to talk about all the deaths at that robbery that Massacre was doing. And he talks to this kid who's I believe his mom was involved in the shooting or the explosion or something.
Mm-hmm.
So he talks to him and he's like, I know how you feel and all this, and he says his name's Liam. He says, "That's okay, Liam. Let me tell you what I know. I'm the mayor, and I can promise you something. That man Massacre, I've decided he's dead." Jameson wants to have this guy killed now. He's lost it now. It looks like. I mean, he's going to use his power to punish people because what's happened to him.
He wants to reinstate the death penalty.
Yeah,
Mayors can do that.
Yeah, right. Well, he is Jameson, so
But that just shows you how far gone Jameson is, because really, for all of his bluster and shouting, that's something Jameson would never have condoned.
Yeah.
No.
Right. Yeah.
And just to go, the cover of the issue, gives us a new Spider-Man costume. Well, Spidey decides he needs to build him another suit because he needs to compensate for the loss of the spider sense. So he's now got a bulletproof suit thanks to his new job. Yeah. And we also get backstory on this Massacre guy who.
Oh, I love this so much.
Yeah.
Is oh my God, this character didn't exist before, right? I mean,
No, he is new, yeah.
But it kind of sounds like something that
You
could
really
happen.
totally. Dan Slott should write every origin ever. Whenever somebody wants a new character, they should just ring up Dan Slott and Dan, here's my character. Knock me in a classic 1960s style origin together for this guy.
Yes.
This is so good.
He was basically in a he was in some sort of a
Like
car explosion. Is that what happened?
Yeah, or something like that. They were
And,
near it. They were
his
near a
his
car
He was a
wife-
Wall Street banker. He was a Wall
Yeah.
Street banker who was the victim of a car bomb by a client who
They
lost
lost
all his
money.
savings due to them. And his
Yeah.
wife died, and a big chunk of shrapnel was embedded in his head,
Yeah.
which broke part of his brain. I'm sure the biology of this is complete bullshit, but comic book wise, it works.
It's amazing.
Yeah, comic wise, it sounds awesome.
Yeah, it just damages his brain. He loses the ability to form empathic connections with things. So he holds his dead wife and feels nothing.
Yeah, he no longer values human life and possesses no internal checks for why he shouldn't do certain things. He said there, and they're interviewing. They're talking to Dr. Kafka, I think, who
When
was
did
taking
she
care of him.
last appear in anything?
Exactly, Maximum Carnage, maybe. Because wasn't she taking care of Shriek? Is that her name? And Carnage or something? I don't know.
No, she's not even in that, or is she? No, I don't think she's in that.
I was thinking she was over taking care of them, but I don't know. It's been years.
Well, she was definitely running around in Spectacular in the late 90s, but that's the closest I can recall.
Was it Vermin? Vermin she was taking care of?
Probably.
Probably? Okay. I don't know. But yeah, like, so he's like talking to her, and he says, like, during our sessions, I recommend he be held under observation indefinitely, and if possible, I'd like to request a transfer. So she doesn't want to
request a carnage, but she wants away from this guy.
She wants away from this guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
And then they're just silently looking at this, and then the police captain's phone goes off, and they go, "What?"
Yeah. So, like, Spidey, you know, he, I think, like, he attacks his firm that he worked for before, because he decides that since Spidey's looking for him, he finds his spider tracer, he might as well just, you know, let him know where he's at. And, you know, Spidey shows up and shows how awesome his new suit is and why you need to buy that action figure when it comes out, because he's badass.
But I just love Massacre in this as well, because he doesn't even know why he's doing it. It's like they ask him, "Why are you doing this?" And he says, "I don't know. Yeah. Curiosity, maybe." It's like he can't even form the connection in his brain to know why he's doing what he's doing. And all these people that he's worked with nearly all of his adult life, he feels nothing for them.
It's like he's desperately trying to feel something, and so he's trying different things. You know, it's like, well, I didn't, you know, I cared about my wife, but I cared about this place, and, you know, now I'm here, and I could blow all of you up, and apparently I don't care about that either, so. Yeah.
But and then it's like Spidey, the crazy science adventures of Spidey, he just comes in and he just puns this guy.
Oh, yeah. He's got the webbing now that can...
he blocks the frequency. It's like, I've got this trigger here, and he said, no, magnetic webbing, block that. Oh, I'm going to shoot them. Oh, I got my bulletproof costume. Okay, I'm going to blow the ceiling in. No, I'm going to hold it up with webs. All right, well, I got a bomb somewhere else. Oh, no, I've just blocked it with my webs. Oh, and I've kicked you in the face. Awesome.
He's like, no one dies on my watch, 100%. And even to the point that he won't let the snipers shoot Massacre.
Yep.
And Massacre doesn't die, he saves him, and he even says it. I said, no one dies, not even you. And then we've got this great moment at the end of the issue where Jameson, he's just blasting Spidey for not letting the snipers kill him and everything. And Spidey explains, he says, it's not going to happen. He gets out, I'll be there. I'm Spider-Man. He's talking about if Massacre ever escapes from prison again, I'll be there. I'm Spider-Man. When I'm around, no one dies. That's the new role. And Jameson's like, I always thought you were a threat. A menace, but I was wrong about you. You're a bleep idiot. You can probably figure out what he's saying. Get out of my city, you bleeding heart half-wit. And so Jameson is now hating on Spider-Man again for another reason, because he doesn't share his anger. He doesn't want to kill people.
Yeah.
But yeah, great issue. Really, really good.
For just really tight emotional character stuff. But it's truly Spidey at his best as well. It's like it encapsulates like why Spidey is a great hero, because it's whenever Spidey is like perhaps the one hero above any other who is always up against all these different types of adversity and troubles. And this issue just sums up like when you throw some shit at Spidey, Spidey will come back. Spidey will go away, he will whatever he needs to get through this, and he will come back and he will beat this thing. And this issue just totally encapsulates that aspect of Spider-Man.
And all that fantastic art. It's Oh my God. Keep him. You know, keep Marcus Martin. Bring him back.
3 great artists on Spider-Man at the minute, but Marcus Martin, you know, he's in some seriously high company, but he's he's on another level.
Yeah.
He's the J.H. Williams of Marvel at the minute.
Ooh, that's high praise.
Yeah.
And that's it for my books. So,
awesome.
What you guys got?
Let's see. Nicole is coming back, hopefully.
Did we lose
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
There you are. We're just waiting on your video.
Okay, for some reason, everything just died on my computer. I'm like, what just happened?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Well, we'll let you go.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you're fine.
Even though I don't have video, that's fine.
It'll come back right. It'll come right back. I'm sure. It'll be.
Anyways, the first one I'm going to talk about is actually a comic book that my comic book guy gave me for free. So he kind of wanted to see my opinion on it.
He likes you.
Oh, he loves me. He gives me tons of stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do with all of it, but hey, you know. But yeah, it's called Savage Beauty, and don't let the title fool you. This is one of those books that you can't judge it by its cover. I did, and I was pretty much surprised. It's a new comic book that's supposed to kind of go back to the old 1950s comics of the Jungle Women. So
yeah, looking at the cover right now. All right.
Yeah. And it starts off with these two coworkers who are on a flight over to Africa to do an assignment, and you can tell they're on company money because they're just partying it up on the plane, and they're having a good old time. And then you have this quick flash over to what's happening over in Africa, and basically it's this French ruler who. This is where it gets really dark just within the second page. He finds a slave girl and he basically rapes her. And so you're just like, okay, this just got serious.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then they're talking about a month after the girls have landed, they're showing an invasion of this village, and they're just starting to take people against their will for the slave market. Like I said, this is one of those ones that's like, whoa, this cover did not go with I thought the story was going to be. But basically, this one guy, he's trying to save his family from being slaves, and they basically kill him in front of their family, and then they take them for slaves. Then we go back to the two girls, and you notice that they're on assignment. They are working for the African Adventures magazine, and so they're going on a little safari, and they're taking pictures and doing some reporting. And apparently the company they work for, they don't want anything graphic. They don't want any predator views. They just mostly want, you know, the herbivore pictures. And so they're more of the, oh, we're having a good time still. And then we go back to the French guy, and you notice all these people that he has enslaved keep on calling out to Naea. She's the goddess of the wilderness, who will come to save them. And of course, this upsets him. So he takes yet another young woman and has her way with her. And it gets very disturbing to see, because you're thinking, wow, this might actually be happening over there. So basically, don't want to get into it because it does get fairly graphic with how they treat these slaves. But basically, in the end, you see their savior come and free the slaves, and they all praise Anea. And you come to find out that it's actually these two women, these two reporters that have come to save them. And so that's the end of the comics. It's a good start of a new superhero to think that a new superhero is actually two different people, considering one of them is a white chick and one of them is a black chick. So
multicultural.
Yay.
Yeah. Like I said, this was actually fairly good. Again, I was one of those people that judged it by its cover. And it does get political. And it does get kind of heavy. Like I said, it has raping of young women and slavery. So if you can't handle that, I would not read this. But if it is good, I might pick up the second issue just to see where it takes off. So there you go. That's the start of a new series. So yeah, like I said, it gets kind of heavy, but you know what? It was free. He gave it to me for free.
Yeah,
So
well,
yeah. So for
Not
a free
one you were
comic,
going out of your way to pay for.
No, it's $2.99, so it's not too bad. It's one of the cheaper ones. And the other one I want to talk about is the newest Infestation. It's the second one in the G.I. Joe series. Yeah, and it has Baroness on the front, being the badass that she is. Last we left off, the whole underwater base is pretty much being invaded and being controlled by this virus, and the bats and the animals. Last time we were talking about the animals being under robotic control. They're all going crazy. Well, basically this whole issue is the Baroness and the Joe. He's still pretty much an unnamed Joe. You don't even know who he is. Battling.
He's Joe Schmo.
Yeah, Joe Schmo. He said that he was mistaken. You know, he was not even on the battlefront. He's just a clerk, and he got stuck here. So, they're basically trying to figure their way out before the base goes under. They're losing oxygen. They can't get out. You see all the animals getting up into the air ducts and stuff, and just starting to bombard people in the other rooms. Basically, that's the whole thing, is them trying to survive against this. But basically, the last few pages, you see the doctor who was in a wheelchair. She kind of does this whole circuit breaker thing. For some reason, the computers have latched onto her and has given her the ability to walk with this robotic suit. And they figured it's the mechanical arm from the first issue that started it all. So basically, they hack her up to try to stop this virus, but it's not working. And I gotta say, I'm kind of upset with this issue because there's no conclusion. Basically, they're still in the underwater base trying to survive. Yeah, the Baroness killed a few people to save her own skin, but there is no conclusion. You don't know if they escape. You don't know if the virus is still out there. I'd say out of the whole Infestation series, this was my biggest disappointment.
That is strange.
Yeah, it just didn't end. So I don't know if they're going to be continuing this story with the new beginning of the new Joe series. I don't know, the new Cobra, the Civil War that's coming out. But yeah, they're still there. They still have the virus. So unless it's going to be concluded with the big infestation at the end.
Yeah, that's what I was just wondering.
So yeah, but
but it would be the only one that has left itself hanging in any way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's just like it kind of let me down because I didn't get that fight that I was looking for with Britt. Britt's not even in here, and she's supposed to be she's not even in the G.I. Joe series. So, but you know what? There's a couple of good shots of the Baroness, bending down. If you guys are into that.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah, because I need that,
Yeah, but it does have a couple of little graphic scenes in it, which I find amusing. But the artwork of the Doctor when she's in her cyborg mode looks really good. They have actually half her skull missing, so you can see some of her brain there too. So. But yeah, out of all of them, this was my biggest disappointment in the Infestation series. So hopefully they'll wrap it up, because I want to know. Of course, they're not going to kill off the Baroness, but I'd like to know how they get out of there.
So Infestation, this is all happening within the actual universe. This isn't like a I don't know, like a G.I. Joe and Transformers in World War II alternate universe type of a crossover thing.
Oh, it's like it's like as it is now. So
okay,
like with the Transformers one, they did a really good job with that one. I thought they tied up some loose ends from the previous series, and you're just like, oh, this is great. So. And I read the Ghostbusters one last week. I don't know a whole lot about Ghostbusters comics, but it was very entertaining. So
I don't know. I don't think IDW doesn't have any kind of ongoing Ghostbusters title, so I think that's just it's not like fighting some kind of undead monster. It would be an unusual day for the Ghostbusters. So you can pretty much fit that in anywhere you wanted.
But yeah, last week was pretty entertaining with the Ghostbusters. So.
That's got to be the resolution for Infestation. It's like, well, what do we do? Who are we gonna call?
Yes. Okay, that's
You know what? I gotta say, the Ghostbusters one has probably one of the best covers. I love it. If you guys could go look at the cover.
Kyle Hotz is on the art for the Ghostbusters. I love Kyle Hotz. I should be buying that. But no.
The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man pretty much roasted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So G.I. Joe, I hope they clear it up. I might like this one better if they do clear it up in the last books.
Yeah, we'll
If
see
not,
if
pissed off.
that's going to give us Captain Kirk writing on Optimus Prime or something.
Awesome.
That would be awesome.
Don't get your hopes up, but, you know, give it.
Yes. So, awesome.
Those are my reviews.
Very good. McFeely, did we say you were doing Brightest Day?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
But I'm just going to pay the thing lip service, so I'm going to do that right now. Because I have so many, it's not that I have a lot of bad books or anything this week, because I totally don't. But, I could sit here and I could talk to you about Loki, the final issue of which came out this week. Or I could sit and talk to you about Avengers Academy, the 11th issue of which was out this week. But, it's just going to be the same stuff I tell you every time a new issue of these comes out. They're great, and you should read them. Loki in particular, because it's over now. Look out for this in hardcover collection in May, The Trials of Loki. This will be out.
Oh, I'm definitely picking this one up.
Now, if I'm honest about Loki, I was an teensy weensy bit disappointed with the final issue. Only because it didn't return to or really explore in any way that passing allegation that the first issue made that about like the cyclical nature of Ragnarok and the telling of tales and how all stories are true. That seemed to be the hook. That was something that I latched onto in the first issue. And it just hasn't really been returned to. I mean, ultimately, as the story has unfolded, it has more been, it's taken that off in the direction where it's about, what's the word? These comics are presented as stories that the reader is being told, rather than stories that the reader is reading. If you understand what I'm saying by that, there's an anonymous narrator running through these, telling us these stories instead of you just sitting and reading, experiencing them as they are. They're very much presented as tales of the past that are being recounted for you now. The fourth issue is the story of how Loki breaks from the gods after engineering Baldur's death, and how he goes to hide on Earth, which is where he was when we joined him in the first issue. And it just doesn't return to that very, very passing, very, very vague claim made in the first issue where Loki denied these things and Thor said he couldn't remember them properly either, and it hinted at the whole cyclical nature of Ragnarok and the intangibility of myth and how stories in history and legend are always being reinvented. It just didn't really return to that. But it's still a great book and well worth reading, particularly if you're a fan of the mythological stuff, because outside of that bookend sequence where he hides on Earth and we have that, this is really just a collection of this is like Loki's greatest hits for Norse mythology. It's a collection of those sorts of stories, so definitely well worth reading. Likewise, Avengers Academy just carries on the story from last issue, where Vale believes she's bringing the Wasp back to life, but in actuality, it turns out that what was believed to be the body of the Wasp, which was introduced way back in Dan Slott's Mighty Avengers, is actually the body and consciousness of the wife of Korvac, the grand cosmic Avengers villain from the late 70s. Makes me particularly glad that I read the Korvac saga very recently in hardcover, since I'm fully up on what all of that means. And basically, Korvac, since she has been non-corporeal for forever and believed dead, Korvac has never sought her out, but as soon as Vale recreates her, Korvac comes knocking on the door of the Avengers Infinite Mansion and saying, "Nice work, Vale." But, as it comes in towards the end of its first year, it's very much a full circle look at Vale, as Korvac's wife uses the incredible cosmic powers that she has to age them up into the skilled heroes that they will be that they will become in the future. And that's just in the last couple of pages. It's leading into a big throwdown for the final issue of the year at the end of its first year, and it just continues to be a great book with a lot of strong character work that uses continuity as a tool, not a weapon, and all the Avengers also pop up in this one to fight Korvac. So once again, well worth your time.
Cool.
And I have about as much time to spend on Brightest Day as well, because they blow on the cover that the Anti-Monitor is the one Deathstorm serves. Now, admittedly, you find that out on the second page of the comic, so I'm not that raging about it, but it would have been nice to open the comic and see that instead of having it screaming at me off the cover.
Weren't we already figuring that out a while back?
Yeah,
when I was
I think
thinking
so.
that.
Just because we figured it out doesn't mean I want the narrative flow of the story.
Yeah.
So Ronnie and Jason put their shit aside, fight the Anti-Monitor. The White Lantern takes something from the Anti-Monitor's mind. Professor Stein dies in a fairly contrived dive in front of the energy blast way. And that's apparently because they put their shit aside. The White Lantern says, okay, now that he's dead, I'll move. You know, and even though you put your shit aside in order to leap into the fight, and that would have been technically the accomplishment of your mission then and there, I just waited long enough for my Professor Stein to die before I decided to dispel all of the Black Lanterns in one whoosh of white light and bring you back to Earth. Dick.
Yeah.
Yep.
That White Lantern's a bastard.
Yep. The White Lantern stuff. Yeah. Complete bastard.
Yeah, he even asked the White Lantern.
I'm not actually ragging on the comic, by the way. It's just I'm ragging on the white light with this
Right.
one. I mean, I didn't particularly feel anything with Professor Stein's death. It's pretty dry.
He's been dead, hasn't he? I mean,
Yeah,
he
know.
weirdly showed up at the end of Blackest Night.
I was surprised to see he was alive when this whole thing kicked off, because I know he was trucking around the galaxy as a fire elemental as recently as Infinite Crisis. And I believe that he bonded with... he was bonded to Jason.
So is that other Firestorm that had the funny look or something? Is that... You know what I'm talking about? That old design?
Well, there was the original Firestorm, and then they got separated, and Stein went off and became the fire elemental, and I think it was like Firestorm for a while. And then you had I think Jason bonded to Stein during Infinite Crisis. Infinite Crisis was full of so many little weird moments like that. I think that's what happened. And he became the new Firestorm. And I have no idea how they got separated, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might have happened.
I know nothing about Firestorm. That's why I have to ask. But
I couldn't really answer that question.
You
either.
know, Firestorm is awesome, and that's pretty much all you need.
yeah.
That's how you
Firestorm's
know.
done pretty well for himself. It's nice to see the Anti-Monitor again, basically, after he appeared like in the third issue of this series and then did nothing else.
So did the White Light get rid of the Anti-Monitor, or is he still out there somewhere?
No, he just seems to have dispelled the Black Lanterns. He's still there in the Anti-Monitor universe.
Yeah, like he needed something from him is apparently what that was all about.
It's taken something.
Or some information or something, yeah.
You know, they say, what about the Professor? He is not our concern. He is dead.
Piece of crap.
You brought me back. Why can't you bring him back too? Why didn't you? He is
Because he is not our concern.
And then we get our dramatic last page arrival of Dead Man.
Yep.
And
Give me the lantern.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't looking forward to seeing where it all goes.
Yeah. It's still
So
not
we should-
real clear. That is the kind of fun thing about it, is like it's still not real clear what the resolution's going to be.
That enhances the Ring's dicketry, though.
Yes.
Because it is just, there's nothing stopping you from just telling everybody what the hell.
No.
But you won't.
But I'm not going to. It's like
The
the computer
series
not
could
telling you
have
why your
worked
printer
out,
doesn't
though.
work.
All he says is, Deadman says, "Give me the lantern," and the lantern says, "Do what he says." Earth depends on it. Well, why does Earth depend on it? I mean, what are we fighting here?
You don't need to know.
30 seconds to explain now, and this will all be over a lot faster.
No.
So how many more issues is there?
Deuce.
2.
2 left.
Yep.
Okay.
Is it only 2? I thought it
Yep.
would be.
Nope.
It's not
2.
26.
Nope.
No, it's
24.
24.
Yep.
Twice a month rather than once every 2 weeks, specifically.
Yep. So we're almost done.
Wow.
You're there.
Wow.
And the next issue is the penultimate chapter of Brightest Day, is what this tagline says.
Whatever
That's
that means.
the last.
Yeah, whatever that means.
Penultimate means second to last.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But still,
Yeah.
like, whatever.
Whatever that means, exactly. It's probably going to be a Martian Manhunter issue, is what I'm expecting.
Yeah.
I would say at this point there's not anybody left for it to be an issue. No, if it's anybody, surely it has to be a Hawk Dove and Boomerang issue.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
haven't.
I believe they are.
Unless that's
characters
in Birds of Prey. I mean, is that Birds of Prey? Maybe Hawk and Dove and all that.
I
Stuff?
don't think
Because
it's going to be in
somebody's got to
Prey.
throw the boomerang, and he's got to catch the boomerang, and
It just
So-
seems too important. The fact that they've held off on it this long, and plus
Yeah.
that's characters from one book and a villain from another book.
Yeah.
It seems logical to see them all, to see everything collide here. I think. Well, we'll see.
But I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I didn't hate this issue, but still.
No, I'm not ragging on the issue. I'm just ragging
Yeah.
on the lantern.
Yeah.
Because it's a dick.
it is a dick.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
like I said, that doesn't mean the issue's bad. It just means that it's a dick, and sometimes
we don't have a hell of a lot to say about it. We
Right.
say about
Yeah.
as much about it as we usually do about Brightest Day.
I mean,
it's-
you know, I think at this point now, though, I'm interested in seeing how it all works out. So, you know,
It
I'm
definitely hit a lull there in the early teens, but it has pulled itself right back around nicely over the last little while. It's not another countdown, you know.
yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, nothing's ever been 52.
It's not quite a 52, but it's not a countdown. That's all that matters.
So there you go.
certainly not a countdown. It's not even a Trinity. It's not even a Trinity, to be honest. It's better than
Yeah.
Trinity Wolf. So I would say this has got to be their second successful.
I didn't
Well,
finish
third
Trinity.
if you
I got
count- third if you
I got
count,
like halfway through Trinity. I didn't finish it, but I liked the beginning. So the end sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
man.
just went off the rails completely in its second act. Trinity did. Trinity was too long. That was Trinity's problem. Trinity was not a year's worth of story. There wasn't a year in Trinity's concept, and it went on for too long. Wednesday Comics would actually be the second greatest weekly they did, but it was only 12 issues, so I suppose it doesn't really count.
Yeah.
All right, then the other thing that I'm actually going to talk about properly compared to those last three is the one shot that came out this week, Avengers: The Children's Crusade Young Avengers. What is that, you may ask? Well, despite the illusion that it may give you that Alan Heinberg is completely incapable of putting out on time a bi-monthly comic, never mind a monthly comic, no, he actually did write this one. Alan Heinberg, rather infamous for his lateness as far as Young Avengers and his Wonder Woman goes. But so far he has managed to deliver the Children's Crusade in something resembling on time. So it does raise the question of what this issue is about. And it is, the bulk of it is actually basically a Young Avengers number 0. It's the team's first night out on patrol. Iron Lad, Hulkling, Wiccan, and Patriot, before the girls had joined the team, before they'd found Speed, just the four of them, on their first night out, prior to the first issue of their series, which launched back around the time of New Avengers, so a good 6 years ago now at this point. Wow, that's almost depressing. It's a solid, just first night on patrol origin story, a little bit of tongue-in-cheek humor from what you know is going to come and happen to the characters later. They fight Electro before he goes off to break into the raft, and so on and so forth. The more interesting thing is in the bookends, where Iron Lad is fighting Kang the Conqueror throughout time. I'm going to try and explain this in the most simple way possible because it's complicated. But Iron Lad is a younger version of Kang the Conqueror.
Huh?
He's Kang the Conqueror's past self, who Kang came back in time to try and avert the destiny of, so that he would achieve.
Okay.
Kang traveled
this-
back in time to try and stop himself from spending a year of his life in hospital, so that he could make his younger years better and he could get on the path to conquest faster.
Oh, he wants to be a bad guy sooner, is what he was.
Basically, yes.
Okay.
If I,
all right.
if I recall that aspect correctly, but he definitely comes back in time anyway, and to save his younger self from a stabbing from some bullies. But what he inadvertently results in doing is revealing to his younger self that he's going to turn out to be a bastard.
Uh-oh.
And so his younger self steals his armor, travels back in time to the present day, establishes his identity as Iron Lad, and creates the Young Avengers with the intent of stopping Kang when he comes back after him, his future self, if you follow me. It's complicated stuff.
Did it read well? I mean, did it...
Oh yeah, well this was back in the day. It all unfolded fairly organically.
Oh, okay.
as you're But at the end of the first Young Avengers story arc, Kang and Iron Lad disappeared into the time stream. And this basically picks up with the characters fighting through time.
Ooh.
Until on the second page of the comic, Iron Lad, gun in Kang's face, poised to deliver the final blow, is confronted by the adult versions of the Young Avengers, who are just the Avengers now. And Kang is part of the team. Kang is an Avenger because it's all the future versions of the Young Avengers. So this is the future version of Iron Lad. Kang is on the Avengers now, and they come back in time to tell him about this one time that some bad crap went down in Latveria, and that Iron Lad had better get his ass over there. Which is exactly what happened at the end of the previous issue of Children's Crusade. Iron Lad popped up in a dramatic last page first appearance to save Wiccan's life, believing that the Avengers were there to kill him. So this part of the story is actually a key piece of information for reading Children's Crusade, which does have to be read at this point in the timeline, but which couldn't organically have been included in the flow of the ongoing series.
So they could have made it be like the next issue or something, or
it just would completely disrupt the flow of it.
Huh.
It is just. I mean, the only other option really that I could have seen would have been to include it as a backup strip or something.
Yeah.
But we get this, and it's got this other story in it as well. So it's a very satisfying read altogether. And I'll tell you, more than anything else, Alan Davis drew this bitch.
Ooh, so, I like that.
It's gorgeous. That is probably the major draw. The fact that this is Alan Davis from cover to cover.
God, I wish Alan Davis was drawing a book I was getting right now. I miss his art.
Just drew more stuff in general.
Yeah, that too. That works.
Alan Davis, gorgeousness. So that is perhaps the big selling point of the thing. And there's a nice little last page twist to the whole thing that I'll not blow on this as well. It's while I was a little suspect, I found the whole thing a little suspect initially. It turned out to be an entertaining, very straightforward, very very safe, straightforward sort of, just a very typical sort of first mission retroactive fill-in story. That is just an entertaining read with some bloody gorgeous art from a bloke who should be doing more work, and why isn't he? It probably won't mean much. In fact, I would say it probably won't mean much to you if you're not reading Children's Crusade, or at least the bookends won't. But the main story itself is perfectly readable. Perhaps if you're not reading Children's Crusade, but you did read the original Young Avengers, it would also work for you. And you should read the original Young Avengers as well, because that was a great series. I think it's all available in an Ultimate Collection, all 12 issues of it. But Young Avengers is one of those things where it's remarkable how Marvel has clung on to the premise, but kept it reserved for Alan Heinberg. It's like you wouldn't blame the reading audience if they didn't care anymore, because these characters have been in limbo for so long. I mean, they're not strictly in limbo, because they keep appearing just enough to remind you that they exist.
Yeah, they were like in Civil War and some other stuff, so they were there.
They cropped up here. They cropped up. Christopher Yost and Craig Kyle did some crossover miniseries with them, with the Runaways. But like their ongoing adventures have been reserved for Alan Heinberg, much as the story that solves the mystery of the Scarlet Witch is reserved for Heinberg to tell, and is now finally happening years after it should have in the pages of the Children's Crusade. They've just about managed to keep the Young Avengers in circulation just enough to make this viable. And it doesn't help that the Children's Crusade is really gorgeous, if a little slow moving for my tastes. So if you're not reading that, you should. I mean, I probably honestly, I couldn't recommend reading that one shot without any exposure to the Young Avengers otherwise. It's pretty readable. But the time travel may confuse you. The main body story you'll probably be able to read without any trouble, but I don't think it would mean very much to you without any pre-existing association with the characters. But Alan Davis art. So yeah, that's that.
Sweet.
Okay. That leaves me. So I'm going to talk about something that I don't care about that much, but because
Hey, we should do that more often on this show.
talk about stuff we don't care about. Those reviews
Okay,
go really fast.
I'm gonna talk about Wonder Woman. It's this comic
Yeah.
that presents. No,
But
no, I'm
well,
kidding.
the only reason is because for some reason I'm reading New Avengers, mainly because Squirrel Girl is supposed to be in it and she's not in it enough. So that's disappointing for me. Anyway, so this is on the title. You have the New Avengers, 1959. In which part of the story takes place in the present and part of the story takes place in the past. Everything happens in the past and nothing happens in the present. Believe it or not.
It's like maybe 2 minutes go by in the present, right?
Yeah. So I'll talk about what happens in the present first. Basically, in the present, I mean, seriously, nothing freaking happens. Like, Superia is really pissed off and doesn't understand why the New Avengers showed up. She feels like it's completely unfair because she did everything right and she's she planned everything out. She was supposed to get set up first before they attacked her. It's like they didn't give her a chance. And she's just really ticked off that she didn't get a good shot. And she starts smacking around Miss Marvel and fighting other people. And there's just basically a big fight.
And I think it's fantastic that the last issue ended with Mockingbird is dying, and this issue ends with Mockingbird is still maybe dying.
Yes, and that's pretty much it. I mean, Doctor Strange tries to work on her a little bit, and they call an ambulance, and, like, they finally get the trucks to wherever it was they were taking them, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and...
the present day section of this book seems purely to exist to justify the New Avengers being on the title. I mean, maybe towards the end of this story it'll all come together, but now it just seems to be there because this is New Avengers, so I better get some Luke Cage when I open this up.
And basically the last panel, like, Superior just blows everything up, and you see everybody sort of exploding. And so that's kind of like, oh crap, but other than that, that's all that really happens in the present. That's completely uninteresting. So, in the past, which is where all the cool stuff happens, Nick Fury's putting together an Avengers initiative.
Yeah.
And their first possible recruit is Sabretooth.
Why not?
Yeah, which is great because it becomes a running gag that Sabretooth gets killed a lot. Or basically at least shot.
Yeah, like Dugan shoots him in the head.
Yeah,
and Nick Fury's like, I had it. And he says, "Oh, I know who's next on the list." Like they're moving on.
Yeah, Dugan's like, whatever. We'll find somebody else.
So they told you about my healing factor,
motherfucker.
He heals.
He heals.
Yeah, it was great. And so
I'm
basically,
looking forward to the Captain America movie more for Dum Dum. Now that I know Dum Dum's in it, because Dum Dum is awesome. Dum Dum hunted Godzilla.
Yeah.
For serious.
Sweet.
Most of the past, though, I mean, even as I say things happen there, it's mostly putting this Avengers team together with random people who were around at the time. Who is the second guy? I'm not real familiar with that.
I don't.
Oh, my comic's on the other side of the room. Dominic Fortune?
Yes.
Yeah,
he was a spy. He was a spy and adventurer that Howard Chaykin created when he came over to Marvel in the 70s, I want to say.
Yeah.
And that makes sense because Chaykin is doing the art.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then Namora and
freaking Kraven.
Yeah.
So random.
Yeah, and Kraven shoots. Apparently, Kraven and Sabretooth have a past. He shoots Sabretooth.
Yeah. He must have like hunted him or something out in the Serengeti or something. Is what I'm assuming.
But they put their differences aside because Nick said so. Because they're putting this random team together that they don't know why they want to be on the team, but they want to be anyway.
Yeah.
And then what? Silver Sable and who's this?
Like
other
Silver
kid?
Sable's dad, like right or the original Silver Sable.
Yeah, it's the original Silver Sable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's her father or whatever. Yeah.
And Ulysses Bloodstone.
Yes, I think that's who.
He's awesome.
Now, who is he? Again, I don't know who this guy is.
Ulysses Bloodstone was most of his reputation is kind of retroactive. He was a caveman who met an alien. Trying to keep this simple. Magic crystal. Souls of his entire tribe absorbed into it. he exploded it. Chunk of it got stuck in his chest. He was immortal.
You know, I like the description of the.
Oh,
With
he's Vandal Savage. Then, for
He's a
I
little
like the
Vandal
description
Savage.
in the
For-
comic better
Okay.
because he just says the Monster Hunter. I think that's all I needed to know.
Yeah, that is his thing. I mean, retroactively, they established that he hunted most of the 1950s Atlas Comics monsters. You know, and then I don't know for sure. I don't think he actually had any classical adventures. Like he maybe had an origin, but every time you always read about him, it's always posthumously, because I know that he came back in one of the old black and white Hulk magazines in the 70s or 80s, where an evil organization that included a talking dolphin wanted the gem to make a robot of crystal that had all their personalities in it.
Tell me the
Okay.
dolphin had a robot body. Tell me the dolphin had a robot body.
I think it had a little microphone.
Oh.
Okay.
Like Mr. Mind style.
But
I haven't actually read that story because I don't know if it's been reprinted anywhere. I mainly know only Bloodstone because Bloodstone was one of the small roster of characters who appeared in the Marvel Universe comic that I talked up a couple of shows ago. Invaders: Eve of Destruction. So we'll read that. That's where they did the whole hunted the monsters thing.
So that's it.
You know.
That's
Yes, that's Bloodstone. Anyway, yes.
yeah,
Digression.
and that's fine. But that's it. I mean, that's New Adventures. I mean,
But I
literally-
do love this shot of them all in suits.
Oh, it's very dapper. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes, they're very.
Oh, that's cool.
They're very cool. So
Mhm.
it's
So,
it's a cool first set of Avengers, all sharply dressed and looking fancy. So
I am interested to see what went wrong. Why we've never heard about these Avengers. You know?
I don't know.
I mean, it makes me. It raises the hairs on the back of my neck a bit that they're called the Avengers. Whenever the idea was that the Wasp named the team, and the modern team isn't supposed to be the newest in like a generation of that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, it seems
Yeah.
to me that they just said the Avengers Initiative because that's a line from the film. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is that sort of thing, and I thought of that as well. So, but yeah, I want more Squirrel Girl.
Yeah.
That's all I can
Really
really
bad.
say. I just want.
She
I want
needs
more.
her own like little, spotlight.
Yeah.
Spidey,
Yeah,
Spidey
mini.
needs to
We
call her
need-
on his cell phone again for help.
We need a Squirrel Girl mini.
You know?
There we go, Marvel. Get on that one. So
Maybe at least a one shot.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
But Dan Slott is too busy now, and that's why we don't have it. Basically.
So on to the stuff that I do want to talk about. Twilight Guardian.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Number 3 came out by Troy Hickman, who's awesome. You should listen to his interview. He's really cool. That we did. I did. I talked to the man.
Yeah,
He's
happened.
very awesome. Walks around at night. I don't mean to stick on that point, but it's really cool. I think that's awesome, but I don't know. Anyway, so a little bit of a recap from last issue where she had gone to the comic convention and met with her now team of superhero-ish people that she's working with, and then got offered herself, or her character, I guess, starring in a comic book. So this issue is her now back in town, back at work. Apparently there was reports of an attack by the Dusk Devil, who is her nemesis that she's labeled. And then she also, throughout the course of this comic, is getting treatments essentially for potential like versions of what her comic would be like. I'll get to those in just a second. But one of the things that happens is, like, as she's sort of getting some of her gear ready and pulling out like one of the treatments, she has like a flash to a memory of like her father reading her a comic, and like she didn't remember that at one point, so that kind of throws her off for a minute. But she starts to read like the first treatment. Most of these comics are very gritty at the best. Like the first one, like Twilight Guardian is riding a motorcycle and has like a big like cross belt of bullets, and she has like her quarters, except they're all like throwing star style.
So it's
sharpened.
1990s.
Yes, like she rides her motorcycle through the window of this bar and like shoots people in the head and blows them all up. She has a monkey that she taught to throw bombs out of a helicopter.
God, that's like Walker
Wow.
Texas
Best
Ranger.
sentence
Awesome.
ever.
Yeah. I mean, literally, the line is teaching that monkey to drop bombs was the smartest thing I ever did.
Nice.
It's just this monkey pushing a big bomb out of a helicopter, just with a big timer on it,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Crazy.
she rides away from the explosion with the
I
line.
think you just sold me on this series.
Yeah, but that's just like one of the treatments, so it's not even like the regular, comic line. And like I said, there's always interesting things that happen, and it's the juxtaposition, between what she's saying and what's happening on the page, because those invariably aren't the same thing. Like, she's walking down the street and there's kids playing with like fireworks, and she's trying to tell them, not to play with the fireworks, and they basically say something to her about it's too early for trick or treat. And then, like, she says, the father comes out and she says her work is done and she walks off. Except the implication is, like, he's worried about the person that's messing with his kids, not so much about them messing with fireworks based on, the art in the panels. So just little brilliant stuff like that. And there's still, like, weird things that happen. Like, she, she commonly will eat something and then pass out on a windowsill. And, like, when she wakes back up, like, her shoes are covered with mud. So there's still, like, a hint that maybe she's blacking out and doing things for a while. But anyway, she comes back, and she's still kind of trying to figure out. Of course, her ex-boyfriend is still, gone, and she's trying to figure out where he is. And she's also noticed that, like, his girlfriend hasn't shown up for work either. So, and I think she has a job at a dry cleaning place, because she talks about, like, getting her uniform dry cleaned and how that's a perk that other superheroes might not have. I guess that's a perk. I don't know.
Free dry cleaning.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a clean uniform.
Well, you gotta think about it. They gotta get their suits cleaned.
So then we go into the second.
Spidey just has a backup suit. He just webs it to a tree or something.
So then we go to the treatment for the second potential story, which is very much almost like in a very rough line art with sort of watercolor. Like if you can see this, of course. Like, that's one of the panels from it for those in the viewing audience. But anyway, it's very, like, line art with almost, like, watercolor imagery. Now, again, mind you, for those that can't see this, typically, like, I mean, Twilight Guardian's costume is like a hoodie and pants. And in this, she has, like, this huge hooded, like, cloak thing and pants with suspenders that cover her nipples. So it's
nice.
And it's supposedly this is done by some British author, so she's got, like, this very, like, it's like she's in some sort of grotesque version of London and, like, buys fish and chips from this guy, but she doesn't buy them. She, like, picks up a cat and has the cat scratch his face, and then she vomits them up later. I mean, it's very bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre, but I'm sure it had to be out of, off of some sort of indie comic or something somewhere. But anyway, so she goes back out on patrol, and she keeps seeing this person that's been following her around, and she tries to catch up with the person, and she can't. And I won't guarantee it, but if you look at the art on the panel where she's trying to figure out where this person went, it looks like there's a person, like, in the tree, because she's right underneath a tree. It's almost like there's a shadowy figure in the tree, but is it there? Is it not? We don't know. So, again, I mean, most of this comic is her, out on patrol. There's, like I said, a couple of things, like her meeting with her mom. Her mom gives her, like, some action figures. One of the things I really love is that she gets a whole box of action figures, and she talks about how, most of them are kind of like junk and parts, but with some sculpting, she could do customs. Yeah. Those of us that are familiar with toy customization, yay.
Has she ever actually been in a fight yet, or is she just doing patrols?
No.
Oh, so that's what we're building to. Apparently, is what happens.
No. So the best part though is this final treatment that she gets, which is for basically a huge like multi-title crossover, very Crisis on Infinite Earth style, but probably more like Infinite Crisis, like the way that this is set, because there's some dude with a ring and she shoots him with a gun that has like the anti-power to the ring, and I don't know. I mean, it's very wacky. Like, I mean, it's just like all it is just fighting in all of these panels. And she, you know, her costume, of course, is completely different. Again, with I mean, it's like a bikini top, like a one-piece bikini, not bikini, but a one-piece like suit top with like a weird bracelet armband. And I don't know. It's crazy. Like, all the treatments are just bizarre. And she even like, there's even like a whole silent almost page where she like looks at them and just kind of leaves them aside, like throws them away. Like, she knows none of them are quite what she wants to do. But she goes out on patrol, and when she comes back, or when she goes to go out, I guess, the door to the garage, that goes outside, because she always goes out through the basement, is unlocked. So she knows that someone is in the house. And she goes up to figure out who that is, and I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to read it.
Rude!
So, yeah, I know.
Rude.
But it's very good. It was a nice twist that I was not necessarily expecting. So that is going to be really interesting come the final issue. So, yeah, it's still really good. Like, I'm still really loving this. Like, I would totally love to see this character get a full series. So, yeah. So check it out. Twilight Guardian, definitely.
But she still hasn't been in a fight yet. And how many issues do we have left in it? Did you say?
There's one more in the mini. But I mean, that's like, she's not a superhero per se. And so that's why it's kind of like, the fact that she's not been in a fight per se doesn't take anything away from that character, because that's not necessarily what that character is trying to achieve, or what, you know, what the character is. So it's kind of, that doesn't diminish it for me, you know. Like, she may be in a fight based on some things that are happening in the next issue, but I don't even know if she can fight, to be honest. I mean, that's, you know, and that's going to be.
I sort of figured that would be like how it ends, is like she finally gets in a fight, and then we find out if she can or what happens.
Yeah. I don't know. And like I said, that's not as much as what the character's about. I mean, this comic is a lot about what's happening on the I mean, it's a true comic in that sense. Like, it's not necessarily about the action that you're seeing drawn. It's about that juxtaposition between what the character is saying, what you're seeing on the panel, and putting those things together and trying to come up with, you know, a cohesive reality, if there is one. You know, obviously there's, you know, again, they showed like the medicine bottle, and she talked about how she's not taking her meds. So, you know, and what the meds do when you take them. So it's really interesting. Like I said, it's good stuff. I mean, seriously, really good stuff. I like it a lot. So, obviously. So, anyway, check that out. And I think we should be getting you should just buy it. Just buy it. Don't expect a trade. Buy these comics. Anyway. So I guess that takes us to Fear itself.
I think so.
McFeely, this is all you, sir.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, because you're gonna know some of the backstory better than I do. So.
Oh, you accuse me of things, but I fear that I don't know anything more than you will about this particular one shot. Okay. Well, this is
supposed to know everything.
Well,
we do know it's Brubaker, right? Brubaker wrote it?
Yes. Brubaker wrote it, and Scott Eaton drew it, so it's rather nice.
Ooh.
It is Book of the Skull is the title of this. It is the prologue to Fear itself. The title having only been revealed quite comparatively recently to the initial solicitation. And it is much like Children's Crusade there that I mentioned before. It is a main story, bookended, with... well, the bookends are of Baron Zemo. Hooray, Baron Zemo! Anything with Baron Zemo in it gets my vote.
Sweet.
And the Red Skull's daughter, Sin. who is a character that you would definitely be excused from not knowing much about if you hadn't been reading Captain America under Ed Brubaker. She is the Red Skull's daughter. She was created by J.M. DeMatteis back in the 80s. They just fell off the face of the earth, basically, until Brubaker brought her back. She's a real sadistic little bitch who loves being daddy's girl. But at the climax of Captain America Reborn, she was caught in an explosion, and her hair was burned off, and her skin and her face are completely scarred. So she is the Red Skull now, essentially. But she's not really, because nobody will ever buy that.
No,
nobody's ever going to call her anything but Sin, which is her name.
So is Red Skull still in a robot or something?
Red Skull is still in a robot.
Hell?
Well, no.
Okay.
Red Skull was last seen in an exploding robot.
Yeah,
so he could be dead, or I think much more likely, it's a very easy out that he just transferred his consciousness somewhere else if needs be.
He's not. So he's not in Sin. He didn't.
Not that we know of, but he was only able to transfer his consciousness into Alexander Lukin in the course of Brubaker's thing because he used the cosmic cube. So he needs something a little bit less.
I figured maybe that's why he was keeping her around. Maybe he needed her for.
No, he genuinely seemed to value her presence. Plus, she and Crossbones were getting it on. So.
Oh.
Yeah. If you want backup on Sin, look for, I think it might be this month, it might be next month, the rather cleverly named one-shot, Fear Itself, Sin's Past, which is a reprinting. I think there might be a little new bookend material in there, but it is primarily some reprints of key things to introduce you to the character, because she is going to be key to the whole of Fear Itself, so keep an eye out for that one-shot if you want to learn some more about her, although I've basically told you the guts of what you need to know about her. So Baron Zemo and her break into one of the Red Skull's old underground layers in where is it? I don't know if they've actually named the location. The Egyptian desert, somewhere buried under the Egyptian desert, where they recover a grimoire of magic spells bound with blue leather made from the skins of dead Atlanteans.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's rather cool. But that is our introduction to the body of the story, which is a flashback to... It's very straightforward. I'll just sum it up in a couple of sentences. Wacky Captain America wartime adventure in which he, Bucky, and Namor travel to the Antarctic to recover a mystical weapon summoned for the Red Skull by the Thule Society from beyond. And that's about it. And they fight a boss.
Spear of Destiny? Is it the Spear of Destiny?
It is a hammer. Yeah, but I mean... definitely be forgiven for going in that direction, but it is well, I mean, it's revealed at the end of the story, but it's not a spoiler for me to tell you it's a hammer.
Yeah,
because we all knew that.
Yeah,
and ultimately that is the problem with this. It is a perfectly fine comic book. I have no real complaints with the artistry, the structure, the story of this comic book. It's just that we already knew this. This is an overlong introduction to something that we literally already knew from the promotional material.
Do we know what it's for, though? I mean, what it does?
It tells us nothing.
It tells us nothing, okay.
The Thule Society, if you don't know, I'm sure some listeners do, but the Thule Society was a real thing. It was the occult branch of the Nazis, which researched the occult and supernatural things, and a big thing for comic book writers to draw upon whenever you need a bit of the old Nazi occultism. It's very Hellboy. And they try to summon a weapon for the Red Skull from beyond, using Atlanteans as sacrifices, and they do, and it lands in Antarctica, and they go, and it's a hammer, and they can't lift it, so they build a base around it. And that is basically if we've seen a few preview pages for Fear Itself this weekend out of C2E2, and that is then basically recapped at the start of Fear Itself. This does just feel like maybe a 3, 4, 5 page prologue expanded out to fill a first issue, you know? It's a perfectly fine comic. If we didn't know it was going to involve hammers from Norse gods, it would be a lot better. But it's got Xeno in it, so I definitely rate it based on that. It's readable. It's nice to look at. I like Scott Eaton. I have a working theory though that I can't prove, but I would like for somebody out there who can to do it, which would be to take every wartime Captain America adventure and add them all up and figure out if it's actually physically possible for him to have had as many of them as comics have told.
I'm gonna say yes because Mark Waid invented hypertime, and that can be applied to Marvel also.
Yes. Fair enough.
It's like he was only in the war for like 3 years.
Yeah, but he had to be Captain America 24 hours a day. I mean, they needed him everywhere.
Yes, well, the flight times.
The cosmic cube transported him wherever he needed to be at any. I don't know.
I couldn't exist yet.
I don't know.
So correct me if I'm wrong though, but didn't they make reference to something involving this? Is it Nidhogg? How do you say the name of the snake?
I don't know. I'm not even gonna. Which snake you talking about?
The snake that gnaws on the roots of Yggdrasil.
Yes, well, I am unsure of the name of the thing, but we have been hearing that this Asgardian god of fear, who is going to be the force of evil at work in fear itself, is also called the Serpent. So I have been wondering whether, I mean, I didn't think it was going to be the Midgard serpent, but I was wondering if it was going to be any of the other serpents from Norse mythology, like that one, or like the one that drips poison on Loki when he's imprisoned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's that one too.
Yeah. So they're in no short supply in Norse myth, so it's certainly not impossible that it could be something to do with this.
I could swear somebody, it may have been on Twitter, that somebody mentioned something about gnawing on the tree.
Possibly, I couldn't tell you.
And that's a big snake, and the tree's yeah.
The tree is only as big as it actually is conceptually.
Right. But
So-
I'm saying big in terms of story, in terms of...
Oh yeah, well we know this is going to be pretty big mythologically, you know. This one hook line that they keep throwing out about fear itself is that Thor discovers Odin isn't the All-Father, or something like that.
So, is there any reason for me to pick up this issue? I mean, I was interested in it, but I couldn't get it because my comic shop didn't have any.
Perfectly decent read, but you know, if they didn't have any, I would say not to bother go out of your way to order it, because it's not going to tell you anything you don't already know, and that won't be functionally and effectively recapped in the first couple of pages of Fear itself.
Right. I mean, as we have learned from Venom.
Well, Venom's
be quiet.
Yeah.
But this one, I like this. I like the Sin and Zemo stuff. I really do. You know, I would say if you read it for that, maybe. But that is only about 7 pages.
I love me some Zemo.
Yeah.
Who don't love you some Zemo? That is some Zemo. You gotta love a bit of Zemo.
Yeah. So.
But the main body is just a very paint by numbers wartime Captain America story that leads to a conclusion that you already know in advance because of the marketing.
Yeah.
I'm not really criticizing the comic because the comic is fine. It's just that we know this already is as much as I can say about it.
Yeah, if this would have come out like a couple of weeks ago, it probably would have been more interesting.
When we didn't know it was about hammers.
Right.
They hadn't teased the hammers. It would have been more interesting. It's got very nice lettering though.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. It's a nice looking comic. I mean,
yeah, it's a nice looking comic. It's decent dialogue. It's just, frankly, though, just on a personal level, I think wacky wartime stories with Captain America are some of the dullest Marvel comic stories going. So,
yeah.
Come on.
No.
I like Captain America well enough. You know, I like Namor, and certainly since Brubaker has expanded on what Bucky's actual role in the war was, he has a lot more meaning when he's there, and you see a little of that in this issue as well.
I think a wacky wartime story with Cap and Bucky would be great if it was still wacky, but like Bucky was like, dispatching Nazis left and right. That would just be awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
just
do
killing
some
them.
of that.
Also,
Yeah.
he is, machine gunning around here as well,
Oh,
and
yeah.
dropping the usual sorts of witty lines. But it also doesn't help that I basically saw this story on the Avengers cartoon a couple of months ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Sam's
thought that as
hammer,
well.
it does come down to them fighting a frost giant again.
That is an awesome episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so basically, it's a well put together comic composed of things you've seen before and already know about. I think it's about the nicest thing I can say about it.
Yeah.
But it does have this awesome preview for Fear itself that's actually in all the other Marvel comics this week as well, where we get a little look at some Stuart and pencil artwork.
Yes. And
Oh my god, that's
Is that fighting
gorgeous.
Odin? Is he fighting Odin?
Yes, Thor and Odin totally going at it. It looks like the page is about to sunder underneath the force of what's going on in there.
cool.
Oh,
It's awesome.
this is going to be good.
Yeah.
Yes,
Now,
I'm looking-
when does the Mighty Thor come out? Doesn't that come out next month?
That is, I want to say next month. Yeah, if there's another
Okay.
Thor issue before this month, then yes. Or is it the month after that?
Yeah.
It's very soon. It's either next month or the month after.
Yeah.
It's the next issue of Thor is the last, and then it turns back into Journey into Mystery. Then it's Mighty Thor after that. I must say, I was reading that the first story arc of the new Mighty Thor is going to be about Galactus. And it's going to have Olivier Coipel back on the artwork again, the artist who worked with Straczynski at the start of his run, and he's going to alternate with Pascal Ferry on. Good thing plus better thing equals hopefully awesome thing.
Nice.
Sounds awesome.
And hey, if you
Everything
want,
sounds about Mighty Thor.
speaking of Thor, notice at toy stores they do have finally the light up and thunder sound Thor hammer that I've been waiting on that is going to bludgeon some poor child to death. So
It's hollow though, right?
no.
Isn't that the one that's like you gotta like fill it up with air or something? Because we saw that the other day.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, except that I really think if you turn it sideways, so instead of hitting it, I think you could turn it sideways and really bludgeon somebody.
God, it so needs to be a Nerf hammer. If it was that size and it's a Nerf hammer, I would love the hell out of that.
Yeah, the Nerf hammer one's pretty cool, but
Yeah, the Nerf hammer one's nice.
But,
it's just too
but
small.
no, this one has actual lights on it, and
Yeah.
Oh,
it
wow.
is- I'm telling
Shoots
you.
like a little projectile on it, like a little thunderbolt or something.
It has like a little button on it that you hit, and it does like a lightning strike sound.
The
So-
principle behind it is too good to not make it as a toy, but it seems like an incredibly risky prospect.
Yeah,
They've
I'm
tried
telling you.
their damnedest to get around with foam and hollowness and air and whatever, but
Right,
some
I'm
kid
gonna
is
have
going to wind up hurt.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
ultimately still
have to
bludgeoning
pick up
tool.
one, I think.
Yep. So anyway,
And then Chris will be the one ending up hurt.
I know. Then you'll be on the news. 'Cause Brian will bludgeon you to death with it.
Sure.
No, but all right.
Wait, he has the Nerf one. You guys could have, a hammer off.
He's got the Nerf one, and I can get the other one, and we
Yeah.
can just like attack
the
each other.
super
He's got
sound effects
he's
of
got
it.
a ferret self hammer, and I've got the real hammer. That's what we'll have.
There you go. There you go.
Hammer
So-
off.
Awesome. Well, hey everybody, thanks for joining us. Again, we are affiliated with Comic News International, and they're so awesome for letting us post our show and stuff over there, which we would have posted last week, but we didn't have a show, so sorry about that. If
Bunch of girls, honestly.
Yeah,
Go away
there
for
was so
one
many
time.
things.
Like,
Sorry.
there were so many things that went
Here.
wrong last
Thank
week.
you.
So anyway, but yeah, so check that out. We're on Twitter as well, TF Radio, Twitter feed. We all have Twitter, so it's good stuff. It's fun. Check that out. Check us out there. So anyway, that's it. That's
just
everything.
before we go,
Nope.
I just briefly draw attention to the fact that I put a sparring edition up
Yes, you
on
did.
the TF Radio Network account on YouTube this week. A brief look over of Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four, an anticipation of what is definitely going to be next week's book at the top of the show, FF number 1.
That's right. Oh my
Yes.
God, I need to get that.
I gotta get
Very
that.
exciting.
Yeah.
I'm fired up.
Yeah.
about that. So yes, we will be the future.
Tune
Foundation
in next week for that.
Yeah.
We don't have to tell you what it'll be Fanboy Versus next week.
Yes. It'll be yes. So my own version of the Future Foundation. So anyway, thank you so much, everybody, and please tune in next time when it'll be Fanboy Versus.
This has been Fanboy Versus. with your hosts, J.D. Church, Chris McFeely, and Chris Triplett. Visit us at tfradio.net for show notes and to subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at tfradio for news and updates. Like the podcast? Leave us feedback on iTunes. Copyright 2010 Radio Free Cybertron.
Fortunately, we got in